Dear students, welcome to the second class of Standard for English, The Seed of Truth. In the last class, we entered into the first lesson, The Seed of Truth, and we met an important character in that story, Vidyadhara, the king of Gandhara. Do you remember those lines? Now we can go to the next part of the lesson. What kind of a king he is? He is a just and wise king. What is the hobby of the king? Yes, gardening. He is fond of gardening. He spends a lot of time tending his garden, planting the finest plants, fruit trees, vegetables, and crops. Okay. Then there's a problem. Even though all the people in his country is very happy, but they have a problem. What is the problem? The king did not have children. The king did not have any children. So, what will happen to the kingdom after the death of King Vidyadhara? What will happen? Yes, there will be no king. Then the king has to find a successor, the next prince or princess. Successor means follower. The king has to find a successor. So, how King Vidyadhara will find a successor? We know that he is a wise king. He is very intelligent. So, he will select the correct person as the next prince or princess. The next prince or princess will be suitable for the country. Okay, now to find a successor, king made something. Now look into the screen. Yes, look here. The second part, proclamation. Proclamation. Look at the picture. In that picture, we can see the court of the king. King is sitting in his throne, and there are soldiers, and there may be a minister with him. So, king is saying something to them. Now we can see what they are talking. To find a successor, the king thought of an idea. What is that idea? He decided, I will distribute some seeds to all the children in the country. The child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. They can take 3 months for it. The king ordered his minister to give a proclamation. Then, what is proclamation? Do you ever hear any proclamation? Proclamation is a method used by kings and emperors in the past. The king or the emperor want to say something to the people. So he will order to make a proclamation. Now we can see what is a proclamation. Okay, dear students, look at the picture. Here we can see how a proclamation is made. Whenever a king or an emperor want to say something to the people, he will order for a proclamation. This is a soldier with a big drum with him. He plays the drum in a market or wherever the people gather. He will blow that drum for some time and then he say what is want the king want to say to the people. Okay, did you get it? Now we can go to what is that proclamation. Here the king decided, he decided, I will distribute some seeds to all the children in the country. The child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. They can take 3 months for it. The king ordered his minister to give a proclamation. To find a successor. What is successor? Yes, follower. The king thought of an idea. He has an idea to select a successor or a follower. We already know that the king is very intelligent. So it is an intelligent idea. He decided, I will distribute some seeds to all the children in the country. I will distribute, I will give some seeds to all the children, all boys and girls in the country. The child who grows, the child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. The child, the boy or girl who grows, we grow plants like here, who grows the biggest, the healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. They can take 3 months for it. They can take 3 months. How many months? 3 months for it. The child who grows the biggest means the tallest, the healthiest, the most powerful plant will become the prince or the princess. They can take 3 months for it. The king ordered his minister to give a proclamation. Once again, I will read. Please listen. To find a successor, the king thought of an idea. He decided, I will distribute some seeds to all the children in the country. The child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. They can take 3 months for it. The king ordered his minister to give a proclamation. We saw how the proclamation is made. So, this is the idea of the king to find a successor. Suppose we think that it is a simple one, it is an easiest one, the king has some idea in it. Now we can go to an activity. In that activity, we have to prepare a notice for this proclamation. So, students, listen here. This is the activity. Activity 1. The child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or the princess. Okay. The king ordered his men to prepare a notice for this announcement. Help them to draft it. So here is an activity for you. Activity 1. The child who grows the biggest, healthiest plant will become the prince or princess. The king ordered his men to prepare a notice for this announcement. Help them to draft it. So you have to prepare a notice. You're all aware how to prepare a notice. So the material is here and we know the content. That is, the king will give some seeds to all the children, and the children who has to grow the biggest and healthiest plant. So they can take 3 months for it. This is the matter, and you have to prepare a notice for this activity. Okay, shall we continue? Now here in the next session, seed of hope. Seed of hope. Now listen to the passage. Before that, we can see a picture there. Here is a picture where the king gives some seeds to the children. In that picture, we can see the children with their parents. Everybody was anxious to get a seed. Everybody is very happy also because the task that the king gave is very easy, to grow a plant, and they get 3 months for it. So in that picture we can see the king giving seeds to the children. Now we can go to the passage. Look here. In the passage, I will read the passage. Listen carefully. The next day, a long line of anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was one among these children. He too got a seed from the king and sowed it in a pot in his garden. He took great care of the seed. Listen. The next day, a long line of anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was one among these children. He too got a seed from the king and sowed it in a pot in his garden. He took great care of the seed. The next day of the proclamation, a long line of anxious parents, a long line, a big line of anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. A long line, that means all the children in the country came to the palace. A long line of anxious means everyone want to know what is happening, what will happen. So they are anxious, and anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. From that picture, we can see the palace is there and the line of children and parents were outside it. So, on the next day of proclamation, a long line of anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. Everyone means every parents and every children were eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. They were very much anxious. They want to get the seed as early as possible. They want to get the seed and grow the seed into a plant. So they were all very much anxious. All the children want to become the prince or princess. All the parents want to make their children the next king. So the parents and children were eager to get a seed. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. In the proclamation, the king gave a task to grow the biggest and healthiest plant. The children were wanted to make the healthiest and the biggest plant. So that's why it is called the best plant. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was one among these children. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was one among these children. Pingala here is the next important character. He is a son of a poor farmer. What is poor? Having no money. He is not rich. A poor farmer. What is farmer? A man who works in fields or farms. That is farmer. He is a poor farmer's son. Was one among these children. He is also there with that children. He too got a seed from the king. Pingala also got a seed from the king and sowed it in a pot in his garden. And he put the seed into sand or to soil in a pot in his garden. He took great care of the seed. Okay, so once again I will read. The next day, a long line of anxious parents and children formed outside the palace. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was one among these children. He too got a seed from the king and sowed it in a pot in his garden. He took great care of the seed. So, children, please read the passage 3 or 4 times. Then you can understand the lines and you can easily read the lines. I will give you the meaning and other notes based on these parts. So you have to read the passage again and again to understand the meaning and to get a flow in reading English. Okay students, now I am giving the assignment of today's class. Look at the screen and you can see a word web there. What are the things needed for a seed to grow? Complete the word web. 1 is done for you. What are the things needed for a seed to grow? Here, Pingala wanted to grow that seed. So, help Pingala. What are the things needed for a seed to grow? Complete the word web. One is done for you. Look at the screen. In the middle of the word web, a word is there, seed, and in one of its branches, sunlight is given. You have to fill the 3 remaining items. So in this class you have got 2 assignments. The first one is you have to prepare a notice, and then the second one you have to complete the word web. Complete these tasks and send the photos through WhatsApp. Thank you for listening to this class, and in the next classes we will go through the remaining parts of the lesson. Thank you to all.